Adrian, good evening to you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very moody, murky heart of Hertfordshire as Watford take on Arsenal. Away to our left-hand side, there is a sea of yellow and black flags being waved as the Premier League anthem rings round what is now a very comfortable stadium, it must be said. Well, the win over Manchester United provided answers to some of the questions that Arsene Wenger has been asked over the past few years, but they came again in the week when a disgruntled shareholder at the club's AGM made it just that little bit uncomfortable for him and told him that he should be sacked for the way that Arsenal had performed in the Champions League in the last couple of years. If he is to give their often tired supporters real hope of ending their 11-year wait for a Premier League title, then they can't really afford to take anything for granted. Forget Bayern Munich on Tuesday, forget the most potent striker in Europe in Lewandowski. That can wait until the middle of the week. Mertesacker and Koscielny have got the Premier League's informed striker to worry about. Odion Ighalo has scored 4 times in his last 4 matches. The only issue for newly promoted Watford is that he's the only one who does. Let's get the teams.
Watford.
And they're unchanged from the draw with Bournemouth. They start with Aurelio Gomez in goal. Neom, Prodel, Cathcart and Nathan Aki the back 4. Capoue and Watson will anchor the midfield with Ikechiyanya, who is recovered from an injury, on the right-hand side, Alman Abdi on the left, and Dini just behind Odion Ighalo. As far as the substitutes are concerned, René Gilmartin is the goalkeeper, Miguel Britos, Malan Barami, who's had a calf injury, went away with Switzerland, then was sent back because he couldn't compete. Juan Carlos Paredes, Zibarbo, Berghaus and Holebas making up the bench.
Arsenal.
Alexis Sanchez and Laurent Koscielny are fit enough to start for Arsenal this afternoon, but there's no Gabriel and there's no David Ospina either. They start with Cech in goal, Bellerin, Mertesacker, Koscielny and Monreal, Coquelin and Cazorla in the centre of midfield, Ramsey, Özil and Alexis Sanchez behind. Theo Walcott, who is in blistering form in front of goal, scored again in the international break for England. The replacement goalkeeper today is Matt Macey, Matthew Debuchy, Kieran Gibbs, Arteta, Giroud, Oxlade-Chamberlain and Callum Chambers make up the bench. Alongside me in the commentary box is Stan Collymore. Arsenal mustn't slip up after beating Manchester United so comprehensively, must they?
No, they mustn't. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Vicarage Road. Wonderful stadium, as Sam said. Now they've done the redevelopment. Imperative that if you are going to go on and compete for the Barclays Premier League title over 38 games, that games like Manchester United are the start to your season. The consistency, the tempo, the commitment to the cause, the leadership, all of those things that Arsenal had on that day, they have to continue right the way through or they will not win the league.
These two are neighbours. Watford's training ground backs onto Arsenal's London Colney, but on paper they should be poles apart. On the pitch anyway. Watford take on Arsenal, looking to continue their challenge at the Hornets' Nest on the world's biggest sports radio station. It is TalkSport. Arsenal shooting from right to left in red-bodied jerseys with white sleeves and white shorts and socks. And Watford in those bright yellow jerseys, black shorts and black socks, shooting from left to right. The ball is pumped up to the right-hand side of Aaron Ramsey, who scored in the international break for Wales. He's dispossessed by Nathan Aki. It goes back towards the Dutchman, who stops it from going for a corner, and then Alman Abdi plays it against a series of Arsenal players before it goes out for a throw-in down by the corner flag. Arsenal would have been itching to get back to Premier League action, to restart after the way they performed against Manchester United before the international break. The buzzword around the red half of London Colney was urgency this week. They played with that against Louis van Gaal's team. Wenger wants more of it today. Even Özil played with it in that game against the Old Trafford outfit. This is Santi Cazorla, just in front of the centre circle inside his own half. Scored twice for Spain in midweek, but it's been some time since he scored for Arsenal. Plays it back towards Koscielny. Koscielny all the way back to his goalkeeper Petr Cech, who has kept 4 clean sheets in the Premier League this season.
Nice and bright start from Arsenal, keeping possession of the football at a nice high tempo and then coming back down the gears just to find those little pockets of space. Good discipline from the home side though. 2 nice banks of 4. yards between each other.
Özil out to Alexis Sanchez, then it's pushed out to the right hand side, and under the floodlights Bellerin, who used to play here on loan, skips past one challenge, produces a lovely cross into the centre. The referee played a good advantage there because he was fouled over on that far side by Nathan Aki, and it's glanced behind by Alan Nyom and out for the first corner of the game in favour of Arsenal.
I reckon Arsenal must have had 60 or 70 touches already to Watford's 5 or 6. It yields a corner. Good play by Bellerin down the right hand side. The cross comes in, gets a deflection, left footed out swinging corner, away to our left.
Sandy Cazorla will take it. He's got Mertesacker jostling for position with his former teammate Prodel. It's in towards the back post where Aaron Ramsey's underneath it, headed into the air. Goalkeeper comes, and Aurelio Gomez has grabbed it and then dropped it, but he was under pressure when he did so from Mertesacker, and the referee is given a free kick in Gomez's favour. I've got to be honest with you, my initial reaction was, how is he given a free kick when everybody that was crowding him out were all wearing yellow? There were 3 of them in his way. He went down and he's now just getting a little bit of a helping hand to get back to his feet, but he has got a free kick in front of his 6-yard box. Watford may prove a little bit more resilient than Manchester United did 2 weeks ago. Manchester United had a really limp performance against Arsenal, but this is a Watford side that have only conceded once at home all season.
Got a very industrious man in Ben Watson alongside Etienne Capoue. He's been given a second lease of life just north of London, of course, here at Watford, having had a not great time at Tottenham Hotspur, it's fair to say, but I think that there is something in there. He's very athletic, he's rangy. I think he's starting to develop a good partnership with Watson in that defensive midfield area.
Here's a cross on the right-hand side looking for Walcott. Glances a header towards the far post. It was too close to the goalkeeper Gomez, who went scurrying down to his right and pulled it into his chest, and his big bright blue jersey smothers the ball, and Watford survived. But again, down that right-hand side, they've had some joy. It was picked up by Aaron Ramsey. Ramsey, with Bellerin on the overlap, went for the cross himself, dipped it into the box, and arriving was Walcott with that poacher's instinct to try and put Arsenal in front. He has had a good run in the Premier League, 12 goals in his last 14 Premier League starts, Theo Walcott.
Absolutely. And if he plays on the shoulder of the last man and learns his trade as a central striker, I can remember at least 5 years ago having a chat with him on Cor Collymore after an Arsenal game, and he said, I'd love to have an opportunity for club and country to play up top. But you need to learn the role, Sam. It's not just something you can come in and do for a game or two. To understand the movement, the positioning, you have to play 10 games plus.
Alexis Sanchez looking for Theo Walcott, who was again doing that, standing on the shoulder of the last defender, waiting before bursting in between centre-back and full-back. He was flagged offside on this occasion, and Watford get away with it, but you can see that is going to be Arsenal's route to goal in the game. Watford 0, Arsenal 0. TalkSport. We've played just over 4 minutes. Elsewhere today, the Rugby World Cup quarter-final is underway. Wales against South Africa. Big results in the Barclays Premier League. Another win for Manchester City as they beat Bournemouth 5-1 with a Raheem Sterling hat-trick. Manchester United beat Everton 3-0. Chelsea beat Aston Villa 2-0, and Jamie Vardy on the score sheet again today as Leicester came back from behind to draw at Southampton. Here on this right-hand side, Akechi Anya trying to thread the ball into the path of Igalo. It's cleared away by Arsenal up to a halfway where Prodel is waiting for it. He'll know all about Per Mertesacker and Mesut Özil, having played with them at Werder Bremen. Here's Capoue in the centre circle for Watford, long sleeve shirt on, threads it forward, finds Deeney trying to get past Coquelin. Good strong tackle by Coquelin, and there's another turnover, and Arsenal come forward with the ball at pace with Alexis Sanchez being harried and harassed by Troy Deeney. That's good defensive work by the Watford captain, and he stops Alexis Sanchez from getting into his stride and just holds Arsenal up a little bit. Again, just epitomises what Watford are all about. Troy Deeney is in the right-hand channel, just in the Arsenal half. Runs all the way back almost to the right full-back position to track the run of Alexis Sanchez. As Adrian Durham said earlier on, not at the top of the goal scorer in charts in the Premier League so far this season, but really does link play well between the defensive midfield and the attacking midfielders, and Odion Igalo that is scoring goals for Watford. Well, Deeney yet to break his Premier League duck, but there's no panic inside the Watford dressing room. Everyone acknowledging his contribution to the side start. Here is Walcott on the right-hand side. He knocks it into Ramsey. Ramsey to Bellerin. Bellerin tries to play it round Nathan Aki, who does well scurrying into a left full-back position, plays it against Bellerin, and then it comes back to Walcott. Aki does really well again, and then it's cleared from deep inside the Watford territory and up towards halfway, and Koscielny is being pushed and harried by Deeney, but he's dealt with that comfortably. And despite a little niggling injury that he did have after that Olympiacos game, he seems to be pretty comfortable so far. 0-0, 6.5 minutes played on TalkSport, and we're live at Vicarage Road where the floodlights are on. Over on the far side, the Graham Taylor stand, which was named after their former manager just last year. I remember speaking to him about it. He was very emotional about it. Is where Aaron Ramsey is stationed, just in front of it, halfway inside Watford territory. He plays it square towards Alexis Sanchez. Looks for the return. Prodal goes across, but the ball's given away to Monreal inside the penalty area. Can he squeeze across in here? Blocked by Prodal once again. Across comes the right fullback Neom, and he clears upfield. But here come Arsenal, relentless, coming forward once more. A little poke from Monreal. It comes through to Cazorla. He tries a shot. It cannons off the defender, and it breaks to halfway. Deeney is chasing with Bellerin. They're both pretty speedy, but Deeney's a little bit stronger, and he nudges Bellerin out on the far side, and it's thrown in towards the centre of midfield, and it's picked up by Ben Watson. 0-0.
Super work again by Troy Deeney. It was all Arsenal passing and probing those little 5 or 6 yard balls around the number 10 area, getting willing runners like Ramsey, Alexis into the 18-yard box and nearly scoring. Capoue cleared his lines though up to Troy Deeney, and he just hassled and harried, and you can see for someone like Odion Ighalo, where he just plays on the shoulder of the last man, lets his foil Troy Deeney do the work, and he picks up the little bits and pieces in behind. A good partnership, almost just an orthodox 2 really for Watford. They're playing no more than 10-15 yards apart from each other.
Ighalo was just berating Nketiah on this near touchline for switching off and allowing Nacho Monreal and Cazorla to play the ball out after it went up towards the Watford forward line. 8 minutes gone, still goalless here. A couple of birds fly across the top of the Graham Taylor stand. There's a block of flats actually in the corner of the rookery away to our left-hand side and the Graham Taylor stand. And if you're in the top 2 flats on the east side of the building, you can get a perfect view of the pitch. And apparently, I was told earlier before kick-off, there is a guy there who's a big Watford fan who just sits there hanging out the window, and if I look carefully I can see him now just texting away and watching the football as it unfolds beneath him. 0-0 between Watford and Arsenal on TalkSport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League for the next 4 seasons. Koscielny has it. No Gabriel today for Arsenal. Across to Monreal, up to halfway it goes. Here's Alexis Sanchez, who had that tortuous journey back from South America, but never seems to be fazed by the amount of football that he has to play and the amount of travelling he has to do. He gets it back to his goalkeeper, who hooks it long. Cazorla picks it up in the centre of midfield for the Gunners. Out to the wide right position and Bellerin. Down the touchline he goes. Now Ramsey, who was victorious with Wales in their qualification campaign. Well, they finished second in the group, but he would be absolutely delighted to secure their passage to the European Championships. Now it's picked up by Özil, out to the left, and Alexis Sanchez shifts it onto his right foot, shoots down the middle of the goal, fisted away by Aurelio Gomez. It was a good strong save, and he really pushed it out of the penalty area and out of harm's way, and now a chance for Watford to counter-attack. First real chance of the game forced to Alexis Sanchez. Aki sprinting forward down that left side, trying to get the better of Bellerin, who just wedges himself in between man and ball and nudges it out and away for a throw-in, high up inside Arsenal territory and away for a throw-in.
Well, Watford just need to be a little bit careful. I mean, as the home side, they have every right and all the confidence in the world to be able to have the back four defending high up the pitch, and they're defending midway through their own half. But that's allowing Arsenal a little bit too much room to be able to get behind the likes of Ben Watson and Etienne Capoue and right onto the back four running at them. And we know that Arsenal have that creativity and pace. It was Alexis Sanchez just cuts in from the left with a palm-stinging strike.
All picked up by Deeney, edge of the area, shoots right-footed, and he turned away by Petr Cech. It was a big effort from Troy Deeney, who robbed Coquelin of possession on the edge of the penalty area. He turned and ran towards the edge of the box. He struck it firmly down to the goalkeeper's right, and it was pushed away. Still 0-0. Watford have the ball with Capoue, turned round the corner by Deeney, into the path of Neom. Neom with gloves on and a short-sleeved shirt, hooks the ball into the centre. I mean, it was a really average cross by Neom, and it actually, I think, may even go out for a throw-in. It does. It goes out for a throw-in over on the far side. It's eluded absolutely everybody, and that's a disappointment from the Watford right back.
Very disappointing, bearing in mind that players work every single day in training, crossing, shooting, laying the ball off if you're a central striker. Deeney did that. It was a wonderful palm-stinging strike, fully 25 yards. That Czech did well to get two solid hands on, but then it comes back to Troy Deeney and he pops it into the right channel. Then the delivery has to come.
One by Watson, outside the area. It's onto Igalo, twisting and turning, being marked by Cazorla. Cazorla holds him off, pushes him away, and then pushes the ball into the path of Mesut Özil. Drags it back away from Akechianya. Just a little spell for Watford here, putting pressure on the Arsenal defence, and Capoue is just unsettling Koscielny, who gives it back to Czech, and now Özil on the edge of his own penalty area, surrounded by Hornets buzzing around, but they've played their way out of trouble, and Cazorla has played in Coquelin, who sprints to the centre circle and into opposition territory. He threads it through to Walcott. Walcott through on goal here. Offside flag is up over on the far side anyway, and it's out of play and away for a goal kick away to our left hand side. Let's check in with the World Cup quarter-final at Twickenham. The rugby, South Africa against Wales. TalkSport's Brian Moore and Russell Hargreaves.
Oh, Sam, such a gripping finale. 7 minutes to go. Wales 19, South Africa 18. 6-all in the second half. 2 penalties from Bigger for Wales, 2 from Pollard for South Africa, 1 a drop goal, but 2 missed chances, 2 missed kicks for the Springboks as well. LaRue close to a try. 2 more Welshmen, Baldwin and Morganoff injured. Brian Moore, what an exciting finish.
Oh, it's been unbelievably attritional, and 1 point in it. This is going to come, like games are, down to 1 individual error, 1 mischance, 1 unforced, ill-disciplined move. Wales just need to hold the nerve, stay cool, avoid unforced errors, and it's theirs for the taking.
South Africa back on the attack. They trail Wales 19-18.
Özil picking the ball up, threading it through to Walcott, and it goes in the end through to the arms of Aurelio Gomez, and it's gobbled up by the Brazilian goalkeeper. The rugby updates on TalkSport with MasterCard, the worldwide partner of the Rugby World Cup 2015. Alongside me for the football is Stan Collymore.
A tale of 2 strikers. Troy Deeney backs into Koscielny, holds it up, lays it off. Beautiful to watch. The other one at the other end of the pitch, we've mentioned about the Watford back four, the 2 centre-halves screaming at each other, Prödl and Cathcart. Push up, keep pushing up. Even though we're playing against Theo Walcott, we will push up because it gives us a chance in our midfielders to get the ball and hit on the counter-attack. But Theo Walcott's had a couple of half-sighters now, getting in behind those 2.
Igalo works it out wide right for Watford, who are attacking the goal away to our right. Akechianya shifts it onto his left foot, needs some support, tries to feather it through to Capoue. It was a poor ball by Akechianya, and won by initially Monreal, then picked up by Alexis Sanchez, and then Arsenal just rather easily easing the pressure off by moving it comfortably to halfway. Bellerin has it right side. Spent a bit of time here on loan at Watford for 4 months 2 years ago. That was under Gianfranco Zola, and he's picked up the battle on that right-hand side for Arsenal this season. I mean, made it his own last season, didn't he? But there's no doubt that Debuchy has been relegated to second choice now. The speed and the assets he gives Arsenal going forward, and the way he reads the game, have been heavily praised by Arsene Wenger. Here is Neon, the right fullback for Watford. 0-0 the score on TalkSport. Into Capoue, just hands off Cazorla on halfway, then plays in Anya, and then Coquelin with a little bit of a rough challenge on Akechianya. Mike Jones is the referee today, just calls halt to the action, gives a free kick in the home side's favour.
Well, fair play to Watford. They are going out and expressing themselves, working tremendously hard. And 1 or 2 reservations about their back four defending a little bit too high. I think they need to be a little bit more fluid rather than standing midway through their own half, because Theo Walcott will get in. But then I guess the counter to that is if they defend very deep, Arsenal will just play in and around them. So at the moment still 0-0. Very persuasive on the counter-attack. We've already said that Troy Deeney's linking play very well. Not much coming from wide though.
Play down by Alman Abdi. He tries to knock it towards the edge of the area after what was a really wasted free kick by Prödl, but Deeney's won it back over on that far side with another Tigerish challenge, sliding in on Koscielny and putting it out of play. Excellent work by Deeney, who's already won 3 aerial challenges with Per Mertesacker and is making a real nuisance of himself. 0-0 the score. I know that you'd be hard-pressed to find a Watford supporter who isn't satisfied with their start to the season, but, and we spoke about this prior to the match, it is still just 2 wins out of the 8 games that they've played so far.
I think the thing crucially for Watford is that they're not getting hammered anywhere. There was all those draws in the campaign,
Bellerin sprinting down the right-hand side, trying to get the better of Aki. Aki's done really well against Bellerin in the opening exchanges of this game. Matched him pace for pace, hasn't he?
Absolutely.
Here is Capoue, right side. Now finding Deeney on the Watford left, inside his own half. He turns and chips it forward, looking for his strike partner, Igalo. Koscielny gets there and nudges it in first, but Deeney's not going to be deterred here. He's got there ahead of Bellerin, and then Mertesacker is called upon to put it out of play. And once again, the name of Troy Deeney rings around this stadium. Away to our left in the Rookery, they are making their feelings felt about their captain.
Been outstanding so far. Mentioned to Adrian, don't be under any illusions. The Arsenal scouts would have watched him and seen not just his work rate, not just his ability to hold the ball up, but he did it on the halfway line, got on the half turn and played a delightful little ball into the left-hand channel. A very good all-round footballer.
He's a physical presence as well. Saw him before the game, and he is very chipper as he was handing the team sheet in. Here is Akechi Anya combining with Igalo into the penalty area. Back to Igalo, a little bit overhit by Anya. Falls it back into the box, comes to Anya again. Now Deeney with a chance, doesn't hit it first time. It's blocked by Bellerin and cleared away. Maybe he should have just snatched that and hit it first time, but the communication between Anya and Deeney wasn't quite right, but they fashioned a really good chance there, Watford. They have the ball on the far side. Mike Jones says it's gone out, and it's out for a throw-in.
Better. Anya down the right-hand side, supported by Abdi, and they had, for once, Troy Deeney facing goal on the penalty spot, but when it came to him, just needed to have that little back lift. Perhaps been used to playing a little bit more of a withdrawn role, but good play from Inichi Anya, all pace, goes past Nacho Monreal as if he wasn't there, pops it back to Deeney. Should have pulled the trigger first time on the strike, wanted to open his body up and strike the ball with his left peg.
Wasn't a great ball back by Akechi Anya, was it? I mean, there's a couple of times now he's got the ball on this right-hand side, tried to shift it in, and he was expected to hit it with his left, and he's very much all right foot and just hasn't caught it right. They've won it back, Watford, just 10 yards inside their own territory. Left of centre is now with Capoue, chipping over the top. Anya now sprinting. Koscielny had to judge that right and just about did. Hooked it back over his head, and Arsenal trying to bring it clear. Coquelin outwits Capoue, then sends it immediately out to the right, where Walcott is racing up against Cathcart. He moves towards the edge of the penalty area, slips it into Ramsey. He tries to backheel, but Nathan Aki is there to block it, and it's cleared away by Watford and up towards halfway. It's 0-0. Really good start to the game here on TalkSport. Etienne Capoue, the former Tottenham man, wrestling with Ramsey on halfway, comes away with the ball, then sends Deeney clear. He's onside. It's 2-on-1 here. Igalo screaming for it. Deeney towards Igalo, cut out by Koscielny, who was backpedaling and running back towards goal. He slid it at the vital moment on the 6-yard box, slid it behind and away for a corner. But Watford were in there.
Oh, they were massively in. Igalo was on the penalty spot. Deeney was down the left-hand side of the 18-yard box. Between them was Koscielny, and just needed a little bit more on the ball. Couldn't quite get enough pace on it, Troy Deeney, to whip it in between the penalty spot and 6-yard box for an easy tap-in for Igalo. But credit to Laurent Koscielny, he was back in good position. A long go-go gadget leg saves Arsenal on this occasion.
19 gone, 0-0 the score on TalkSport. Corner to be taken from the far side. Etienne Capoue will deliver it. Right-footed, poor delivery. Cazorla away. That was a really inadequate delivery from the Frenchman who signed from Spurs. He's conceded more fouls in the Premier League than any other player this season, and I'm sure that there will be one or two inside this stadium. Well, hopefully we've got a yellow card for that delivery. It was straight in at the near post and headed away by Cazorla. Flicked on by Deeney as Gomez clears upfield for Watford, the home side here at Vicarage Road, into Alman Abdi. It's very much changed this stadium since the last time I was here, spilling coffee all over myself as I was trying to balance books and computers in a rickety old stand, half of which had been condemned, and we were shoved up in the corner away to our left, over the corner flag, in seats, just normal seats really, because the club just didn't have the ability to pay for any facilities. Here is Odion Igalo shooting from the edge of the area, played in by Deeney, and it's cleared over the top of the crossbar and out for a goal kick. Very different around here now. Stan and I went on a tour of the stadium a little bit earlier on. The Pozzo family have taken over. They own a couple of football clubs around Europe, Udinese and Granada, and they work on this philosophy, Stan. They don't give the players any excuses. They make them as comfortable as possible and encourage them to go out and perform.
Absolutely, and a very Spanish twist pre-match with the chefs coming out and the jamon and the cheese and the octopus. The move sort of approved.
Here on halfway, Arsenal have the ball. It's 0-0. It's with Sanchez being tackled by Capoue. That was a good challenge by Capoue. Back to Neom, the right back. Shanks the clearance down the right touchline. Koscielny just about keeps it in. Flicked infield by Monreal, and halfway is Coquelin. Just sort of hoists that forward rather inadequately through the centre of the pitch, and it's picked up by Aurelio Gomez. Watford have only lost 2 games, as well as only winning 2 games, so have gone a little bit under the radar, I think, this season. There hasn't been too many headlines about them. Igalo probably has stolen most of them, and they have been a little bit over-reliant on him, really. He is the only player left in the squad to have scored a Premier League goal. The only other Premier League goal that they did score was on the opening day against Everton. That was scored by Miguel Layún, and he has subsequently been shunted out on loan to Porto.
I certainly think that what I've seen from them, this is the first view in the flesh. Tremendously hard-working, disciplined,
organised. It's robbed
Cazorla.
He's given it to Alman Abdi, and then Abdi just hesitated a little bit and was dispossessed by the backpedaling and backtracking Cazorla after he initially had lost the ball, and Arsenal have got it back once again. Sorry, Stan.
Physically strong, very well disciplined, a nice 4-2-3-1. A central striker that holds the ball up well in Troy Deeney, with a player 5 or 6 yards in front of him in Igalo that does the job of Theo Walcott, if you like, for Arsenal. Plays on the shoulder of the last man, looks for a little ball threaded through. But they're physically strong as well. When you see some sides in the Premier League, particularly the ones down the foot of the table, some very good technical players but physically weak. I think they've got the balance just about right, Watford, between, you know, slight players like Anya. Igalo's not the biggest, but some real units as well, particularly the 2 central defenders, Ben Watson and Capoue, big physical presence in that midfield as well. So got the balance right.
This is TalkSport. This is Ramsey clipping the ball forward, right side towards the left wing position. 0-0 the score. Monreal cuts it back to Ramsey into the box, left-footed shot, takes a deflection off of Cathcart and bounces into the sky, and Gomez snatches it back towards his chest. It wasn't really well hit, that, by Aaron Ramsey. Let's go off to Twickenham. It's all over in the World Cup quarter-final. South Africa against Wales. TalkSport's Brian Moore and Russell Hargreaves.
Wales 19, South Africa 23. The Springboks winning it with a try in the 76th minute from their veteran captain, Fore de Preer. An incredible story for a man playing his rugby in Japan, nearly retired with a career-threatening injury just 3 weeks ago. But it was great work from Dwayne Vermeulen, controlling the ball to number 8 at the back of the scrum. A reverse pass down the blind side to de Preer, who dived over in the corner. 6 lead changes during a gripping quarter-final. South Africa, though, are through to the last 4. Brian Moore, a really exciting game, in South Africa just keeping their heads and doing enough at the game.
It was incredible, and you have to say the greatest of commiserations to Wales, because bearing in mind what has happened to him throughout this campaign and injuries, it's been an astonishingly brave World Cup effort that ended in heartache, in dramatic circumstances. But in this game, fortunately for Wales, they did not score one of maybe 2 or 3 chances that they should have had for tries, and South Africa conversely really only one, clear-cut chance taken, and that in the end is the difference between the sides. So commiserations to Wales. It was a heroic attempt, just falling at the very last.
The Welsh World Cup journey ends here at Twickenham. Full-time score, South Africa 23, Wales 19.
24 minutes gone at Vicarage Road. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 0, and Laurent Koscielny has gone down in a crumpled heap after a collision with Odion Igalo, who is protesting his innocence here. It looks like he just got caught in the throat, and the referee Mike Jones is just taking his time here before dishing out any punishment.
Just something aside from on the pitch, just looking down at the touchline. We're not far, 15-20 yards away. It's officially winter, everybody. Every football fan, it is officially winter. Why? The long coat has come out for Arsene Wenger.
Stan's been trawling the internet for one of Arsene's sleeping bags. He says,
if anybody can make one or has one, I'd be delighted to take it off your hands. Has to be almost down to my ankles, please.
It's Watford 0, Arsenal 0. Lovely start to the game. Watford have more than held their own, despite the fact that the Gunners have had 63% of the possession so far in the game. Here is Ramsey slipping it forward towards the edge of the area. It's come out by Prodel, and Walcott was lurking with intent, but Arsenal have got it back again on halfway with Mertesacker. All given away by Mertesacker. Kicianyu isn't on this one. Cross goes Monreal to make sure he doesn't go any further. It's won by Coquelin in midfield. This is Theo Walcott, Alexis Sanchez, now Ramsey in the dead centre of the Watford half lifted over the top by Coquelin. Now Alexis Neon comes across, prods it away behind for the corner. He dived in there at what was a interesting height, midway between the knee and the hip, right across the thigh. And I think he hurt himself more than anything else, Alan Romeo Neon, as he put the ball out for another Arsenal corner, the second of the game so far. 0-0 on TalkSport.
I have to say, it's been very even the last 10 minutes. Bright start by Arsenal. Watford have clawed themselves back into the game, but just have to be careful again with the runs of Theo Walcott in behind the lines, getting corners and set pieces.
Cazorla towards the penalty spot over the head of Ramsey, headed out by Capoue, and then picked up on this left-hand side, where it's back with Cazorla once again. Deep cross towards the far post. Mertesacker underneath it. So is Koscielny. Loops it towards the far post. Headed away by Troy Deeney, who was backpedaling on the line. Then hooked further clear by Neom in the right fullback position. It's out for a throw to Arsenal, level with the edge of the Watford penalty area. 0-0 the score.
I think the one thing that Quique Flores will be delighted with, that having been outpassed really for the first 15 minutes and only countering with the odd sporadic counter-attack, that Watford have had decent possession of the football themselves. It's not just been reactive football. They've got it down, they've played with a degree of confidence and moved their way through the gears and been decent to watch themselves.
He was extremely relaxed and confident when I spoke to him about an hour before kick-off, and he was explaining to me that he really wanted to have Valan Barami in the team today. He's been excellent for them. They've missed him when he's been out the last couple of weeks.
Again, another huge grafter in the centre of that midfield.
Absolutely.
Remember a couple of the early Swiss performances at the World Cup, which was stunning, the work rate that he managed to get through.
Yeah, he's got Carpenter in. He isn't 100% fit. They weren't going to risk him today. And he was talking about, you know, they know they might not have much of the ball today, but when they don't have the ball, he said, our shape will be good. We will be organised, and we'll do our best to play as soon as we do get hold of it.
It's absolutely. Every time that the Arsenal attack in three, I mean, have we mentioned Mesut Ozil? Every time that he's managed to get the ball, he's been under pressure immediately. Likewise, Santi Cazorla. Likewise, Alexis Sanchez.
This is Alexis Sanchez picking the ball up from the left-hand side. Özil's in the penalty area. It's claimed it towards the far post. Ramsey's coming in underneath it. He's lifted it over the top of the bar. Well, was that a save from Aurelio Gomez? No, I don't think it was. It was an angled ball from the left-hand side. Sanchez picked out Ramsey. Ramsey went diving in. Goalkeeper came thundering out, and he lifted it right over the top of him and over the top of the crossbar too.
Well, commentators curse. Alexis Sanchez actually finds a little yard or two of space for the first time in a good 10-15 minutes, Sam, in that left-hand channel. He picks his head up and he floats a wonderful ball to the far post. Really good run by Aaron Ramsey at the far stick. Dynamic, direct, gets in between the full-back and left-sided central defender. And I reckon that when he hits that, just goes over. It's good goalkeeping just to take the Welshman's eye off the ball, but do you reckon it just clips the top of the upright?
Nicks the top of the crossbar, doesn't it? From Aaron Ramsey's effort, the first proper effort that Arsenal have had on goal in the game, and it's Arsenal 0, Watford 0 on TalkSport at Vicarage Road. Nathan Aké has the ball in his hands over on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area. Across goes Alman Abdi, trying to make a nuisance of himself inside the penalty area. Garlow is encouraging Aké to get on with it. It's thrown in towards that left-hand side where Deeney had gone across, cut out by Bellerin, and this is a longer throw from Aké this time. Away by Mertesacker, further clear by Mesut Ozil, then won by Capoue, and then Prodal sees it all the way back to his goalkeeper. Let me give you the latest odds from Betfair, Matchday Live's official betting partner on TalkSport. With Betfair, we can cash out on single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. A £25 pre-match bet means you can cash out now for £28 if you pick the draw. Here comes Ighalo through the centre, played in by Ketianya. It's Ighalo to shoot, right-footed, slides it past the goalkeeper's left hand upright. Now, was he pushed in the back there as he went to strike the ball by Nacho Monreal? He is complaining that that was certainly the case. He wants a penalty kick. The referee, Mike Jones, says no. The ball was, well, it was a real mistake by Laurent Koscielny, which allowed Ketianya to snaffle it up and feed the ball through to Ighalo. He went sprinting away, got into the box, and then Monreal came in from behind, but not enough contact.
Just a very poor finish from Odion Ighalo. It was a classic one. Ben Watson on the halfway line helps the ball on, and then Anya helps it into just clear space for a central striker. He's got a steal on all of the Arsenal defenders. He carries it to the right-hand side of the D, and as he gets in to the 18-yard box, just didn't have the composure for the finish. No penalty whatsoever.
Sanchez tries to whip it into the box at the other end. Watford should have been ahead with that chance from Odion Igalo, who's scored 4 in his last 4 Premier League matches. He's taken a free kick quickly here after winning one on halfway. He's given it to Deeney, who's lifted it over the top. Oh, it's misjudged by Koscielny again, and here's Anya trying to pull the ball into the area. Igalo arriving this time, goes between his legs, and then it's picked up by Bellerin on the right edge of the area, and it's cleared away. And when you're Watford and you create 3 big chances against the might of Arsenal, you have to take one.
Yeah, again, really good tempo. Just cut off because Arsenal on the counter.
Cazorla into the path of Alexis Sanchez, edge of the area. Cazorla takes a deflection, comes out of the box again off of Prodal. Now collected in the left wing position by Alexis Sanchez. The Chilean trying to dance over the ball and drive into the box, but he's been pushed out of it by Etienne Capoue. Great defending from Etienne Capoue. He's still got nowhere to go, Alexis Sanchez, and now Deeney's joined him as well. And they bounce the ball to halfway.
Super work rate from Watford. Every single time that they've had an opportunity, some sides would just put their hands on their head and say maybe it's not our day, and they've had 3 of them in quick succession. And then when Arsenal counter-attack, everybody gets back, everybody makes that extra effort to get those 5 yards of space back and to nick the ball off Arsenal. They're lapping it up here at Vicarage Road, the home side.
Monreal onto Cazorla, back to Monreal again, left side, sends a cross into the Watford penalty area, but it was dollied up and it just floats and spins and trickles into the hands of Aurelio Gomez, and the big Brazilian goalkeeper will clear upfield. You're listening to Watford 0, Arsenal 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League for the next 4 seasons. Remember, we've got loads of live football coming your way very shortly. Dinamo Kiev against Chelsea with me and Alvin Martin on Tuesday night in the Champions League. We've got CSK Moscow and Manchester United on Wednesday. Jim and Danny Higginbottom bringing you that one. Anderlecht Spurs on Thursday with Jim and Ray Houghton, and next weekend we've got Everton Arsenal at the Emirates on Saturday with Stan and I, the Weartime Derby with Nigel Adderley on Sunday lunchtime, and then the Manchester Derby at 2 o'clock. Stan and I will be at Old Trafford for Manchester United against Manchester City. You won't want to miss that. We've got wall-to-wall football on the biggest sports radio station in the world.
The home of the derbies as well. Time Weir, Manchester, Liverpool, Birmingham. We've had them all so far. Certainly from a Arsenal perspective, when you are looking at an area that you are currently struggling in that needs a little bit of protection, it's Nacho Monreal. He's 10 yards too far forward. They've got loads of attacking players, so they don't need him. They need him to stay at home, because the balls that Inichi Anya are playing over the top, whether it be for Igalo, whether it be for Troy Deeney, they're creating problems, Watford, for Arsenal in the right wing position. So Nacho Monreal needs to just have a little look across his line and say, for 5 or 6 minutes I'm going to play in line with Koscielny, Mertesacker and my right full-back Bellerin, because Bellerin's taken a step back and he's defending much better.
Cazorla tries to weave his way into the box as Alexis Sanchez sits on his knees on this near touchline. He's got a bit of a problem to get a whack to the face here. Prodal brings the ball out of defence, but he can't distribute it, and it goes straight through to Mertesacker. 0-0 the score, and a lively encounter at Vicarage Road. Boy, isn't Etienne Capoue working his socks off in the heart of midfield for Watford this afternoon. Quique Sanchez Flores is standing on the edge of his technical area and he's just directing traffic. He's just having a quick word with Etienne Capoue. The two of them just having a chat about what he wants. And Mike Jones now wants a word with Capoue about a collision between him and Alexis Sanchez. Sanchez Flores has sat back down again. Very dapper, by the way. Very neatly dressed, excellently tailored suit. Well swept over hair from left to right, and a little bit of designer stubble. Very charming character. And he's just come out to have a quick word with Ikechi Anya before we get back underway again. Neom has got the ball in his hands, ready to throw it in from halfway. Ben Watson is standing in front of him. They want Capoue to come a little bit closer to them before they do so. Mike Jones wants them to get on with it. We played 35 minutes, 10 minutes to go before the break. This is TalkSport. So Capoue getting involved in a little bit of wrongdoing. It's up towards Deeney. Deeney holds off the defender. Coquelin plays it into Igalo. It's switched to the left towards Aki. Aki now approaching the penalty area, shoots left-footed. It was always going to be a wild swipe from Nathan Aki. doesn't catch it at all well. He has never scored a senior goal, and it's straight into the Vicarage Road end away to our right-hand side. 0-0.
I've no problem with players that aren't traditional goal scorers trying attempts on goal, but you have to see it in the context of where you are on the pitch. Nathan Aké's in a left wing position, made a good supporting run, fully 40-50 yards, and he picks the ball up. If he looks to his right, he's got three options that are about to present themselves in the 18-yard box. So which is more likely, putting the ball in the box and one of those three sticking the ball in the back of the net, or you scoring on the run from an angle from 30 yards? No brainer.
Coquelin for Arsenal inside Watford territory, just sends it wide right towards Bellerin, who's now sprinting into the penalty area here. He's still going, he slides it across the 6-yard box. Neon gets there ahead of Monreal, who's coming in at the far post, and Watford somehow get that clear, but Bellerin has found Ramsey inside the area once again, down by the byline, tries to pull it back. Ben Watson puts it behind, and it's away for another Arsenal corner. Again, Ramsey guilty of just taking a little bit too much time on the ball, didn't thrash it through the area quick enough, but it is out for a corner.
Beautiful run by Bellerin, just gets the ball in front of him, scoots past the fullback, cuts inside that horrible position for a left or right fullback when they nip inside of you.
Aimed in towards Koscielny, who hits it from the corner kick. Özil with the delivery, hit it on the half volley there. Koscielny threw his whole body at the ball. It was a bit of a clumsy effort, and it went 2 yards wide of the post. Should he have scored there?
Well, it was a good run. I'm just seeing the ball coming from the right-hand side, unmarked. Perhaps, just perhaps, is it Troy Deeney that just gets in front of him, does enough to put him off? But again, just looking at the run of Bellerin, when he pushes the ball past a fullback, and you do that thing where you just cut across the body as a fullback, you can do nothing. Absolutely nothing, because you touch the fullback, you touch the right winger in that position, and they will tumble to the ground and get a penalty.
This is Igalo, back to goal, being marshalled by Laurent Koscielny. Funnels it back to Deeney. Deeney across square to Capoue, then out into the wide right position, and Ikechi Anya to Capoue, lifts the ball into the penalty area. It's over the head of Bellerin. Deeney is there making a nuisance of himself once again, and then Ramsey and Deeney fighting for it far side the Arsenal right. In the fullback position, Bellerin, is he going to overrun that here? No, he does well, and so does Ramsey, and Ramsey tries to turn away from Ben Watson. Ben Watson a little bit agricultural with a challenge. The referee has not pulled the game to a halt, has not given a free kick against Ben Watson. They play on here, and Ramsey's down, and they're down to 10 men. They were going to stop, but they didn't in the end. Igalo picks it up, tries to turn it round the corner. He finds Ikechi Anya, right angle of the penalty area. Ramsey just getting to his feet now. Neon takes over, moves towards the edge of the box, lays it off to Capoue. Capoue scoops it forward. Neon can't control inside the penalty area. Should have fizzed it, didn't. Still got it though. Sets it back for Nathan Aké. Aké to the left, Deeney inside the area, looking for Igalo. Goalkeeper comes out and snaffles it just in front of him. Another good move from Watford. Very patient indeed, and another chance.
Well, when the ball's clipped over to Neon, that's made the run from right full-back, it's in front of him in volleying range, but instead he cut it back. And actually he was very lucky, because the supporting cast around the 18-yard box was quite incredible. I made it 6 Watford players right around in a crest around the 18-yard box, right to left. It ends up with Aké that filters the ball into the path of, well, I'm not sure who it was that was going down the outside of him. Was it Abdi? That plays the ball in, and unfortunately a little bit too close to Petr Cech. But another opportunity for Watford.
It was Deeney's ball in from that left-hand side. It peeled away into the left-wing position, produced a decent cross in towards the near post. Igalo was lurking within 10, couldn't reach it. Cech got there first. It remains 0-0, and we're approaching half-time. And it hasn't been comfortable at all for Arsenal, as Watford come forward again. Deeney from Abdi's pass, out towards the left, chasing is Ikechi Anya. Gets there ahead of Mertesacker. Mertesacker then manages to regain his composure and beat the Scotsman to the ball. Funnels it into Ramsey, but Aké has won it once more. Do you know what? The more I'm watching it, Nathan Aké here in this left fullback position, I'm scratching my head as to why Chelsea have been playing a right fullback out of position at left fullback and spending 17-18 million pounds on a replacement.
Well, you could argue that for about half of the Chelsea team. I see Jose Mourinho's come out today and been critical again of Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Just doesn't seem to have much trust and faith in youth.
Well, that's given away by Ramsey, picked up by Igalo. Needs some support here. Ramsey's tugging at him, has given away the free kick. Free kick to Watford, 5 yards outside the centre circle. And it was a little bit too physical from the Welshman. And this is a decent position to have a free kick right at the end of the first half. And Arsene Wenger, who thought he had just held off some of those critics with a victory over Manchester United, may well find himself with a little bit more scrutiny should they not pick up 3 points away at Watford and close the gap back on Manchester City, who won today, as did Manchester United away at Everton. Chelsea picking up all 3 points. Here is Ben Watson looping the ball into the box towards the far side. Proda with a header outside the area, which was inexplicable. It's recycled by Abdi, looking for Igalo, away by Koscielny, who leaps and stretches to nod it as far away as possible. 20 yards outside the box is picked up by Theo Walcott, and now Arsenal can try and build something with Coquelin, who switches the play from the centre out to the left. It's headed away by Neon, but picked up by Özil, was quickest to the second ball. It's now with Alexis Sanchez, 10 yards outside the box. Cazorla turning out to the left now, and Özil with a chance to cross. He's got support from Monreal. He gives it to Monreal, who in turn sends it back down the left for Alexis Sanchez. The Chilean, with his shirt untucked to the waist, looks up and switches the play. Bellerin, who's been such a live wire on that right side, has a chance to cross, does cross. Coming in on it was Alexis Sanchez, might break for Özil. No, because the goalkeeper Aurelio Gomez is quicker and faster and eager for the ball, and he grabs it and bowls it out to this near side. But immediately Arsenal coming back on the front foot, but Koscielny is out of possession here, and Capoue has picked it up. And what can he do? Oh, he's run past Cazorla, and now he's on halfway, and he's chipped it over the top for Dini. Goalkeeper's come a long way. They don't know really what they're doing. It's a mistake by Mertesacker, hits the chest of Petr Cech. There's a bit of a shout for handball. I don't think it was, and he's tapping his chest, Petr Cech, to suggest exactly that. But there was certainly confusion between Mertesacker and Cech, which was inspired by that really long raking pass from Etienne Capoue.
What a beautiful ball, halfway line on the right wing, just picks his head up, Capoue, and just drops it in between Petr Cech, who's on his penalty spot, and the edge of the D, and it's just a bun fight basically between Cech. Look what's going on there with Laurent Koscielny and Troy Deeney, and Deeney actually stops if he goes a little bit with a little bit more purpose. I think he gets in between the two, nods it past Petr Cech, and did what Andy Gray did all those years ago, remember? Wolverhampton Wanderers against Nottingham Forest in the League Cup final.
It was Mertesacker, Deeney and Petr Cech.
Chest.
And there was no suggestion that it hit his arm, Petr Cech, when he came out of the penalty area. There is a suggestion, though, that his foot was ridiculously high.
It was. If he catches Troy Deeney or even his own defender, that studs full on in the grid with a straight foot as well. Schumacher territory.
Well, we've seen decisions go against outfield players for using their feet at that elevation. And as Arsenal come forward at the other end, the ball is picked up by the goalkeeper ahead of Aaron Ramsey.
I think it was because it happened so quickly, and there were three. The referee was a mile away, and I don't think I think the referee was looking at 3 players in a melee, super fast-paced move.
Well, there was a lot going on, but the two big things for me are: was his foot high? Did he handle the ball? I don't think he handled the ball, but was his foot high?
His foot was absolutely high.
Here's Theo Walcott wrestling for the ball inside the Watford half. He prods it through to Ramsey, who's offside. Free kick to Arsenal have been given the free kick here by Mike Jones, because I think he believed he was going to allow them to play on. He played an advantage, and now he's pulled it back, and he's just explaining that to the Watford players who are surrounding him and asking for an explanation. So they do have a free kick, Arsenal, just in front of the centre circle in the 45th minute of the game, here on TalkSport, where it's Watford 0, Arsenal 0. We're just approaching half-time. It's been a really entertaining match, and Watford have had at least 3 really good chances to take the lead in the game. There's been a couple of opportunities for Arsenal, Ramsey nicking the bar, and a chance for Alexis Sanchez in the first few minutes, but Deeney and Igalo have both had chances to open the scoring for Watford. It's 0-0. Here's the free kick taken by Özil, right of centre, lifted into the box but headed away easily by Etienne Capoue. Comes back to the German, 1 minute of added time at the end of the first 45. Özil back into the centre looking for Mertesacker, away by Prodel, and then picked up by Ben Watson and thrashed into the night sky, where it bounces out on the far side and away for a throw.
Well, I think overall, I think that Arsenal started very brightly. What we know about them is those wonderful runs that players like Walcott and Sanchez and Ramsey make. And if you service them with good ball, they pick it up and just dink it over the goalkeeper, and it looks exceptional. but that has been the exception rather than the rule as the half's gone on. I have to say I've been very impressed with Watford. Work rate has been exceptional, really working as a team. Ben Watson and Capoue really giving a masterclass in the defensive midfield area, how to protect the back four, and the front three have been a real nuisance.
Here's Ramsey down the right side, played in, tries to shoot from the edge of the 6-yard area. It's over the top of the crossbar again. He went for power and pace and real venom from the edge of the right angle of the 6-yard box. He's elevated it well over the top of the crossbar, and it's out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. It was unnecessary to hit it with such velocity. So 0-0. And a few of the Watford fans, I think, are just a little bit unhappy with one or two of the decisions that have gone against them in the game. But I think overall they'll be pretty happy with the performance. And I suppose for Arsene Wenger, when you think that he might well have expected to escape a harsh questioning after the win against Manchester United, he may well face a few more questions unless they can come up with the goods here, because Watford have had some brilliant chances to take the lead before the break. They haven't. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 0. Cheers, Adrian, thank you very much. Welcome back to Vicarage Road, where it's even darker than it was when you left us. Stan just talking to a few supporters down in the press box here. We're very close to the supporters surrounded by them. We're basically just behind a row of season ticket holders who have been very vocal.
Yes, a couple of nuggets just down in front of me suggesting that I was off by saying it was a bright start by Arsenal. They actually walked past and said...
They swore at you, actually, is what happened.
They swore at me as they walked past, but they didn't actually hear what I said. Was that Watford, after that bright start, and I'm talking the first 10 minutes by the Gunners, that Watford were the better side. I'm not sure what they want.
Anyway, we're off and underway in the start of the second half, and it's Watford in the yellow shirts with black shorts, shooting from right to left in this second half, and the red and white jerseys of Arsenal with white shorts and white socks shooting from left to right. I thought it was an all-action first half from Watford, but they've got to make sure they don't blow themselves out and get blown away in this second 45 minutes. I'll run through the 2-11s for you in just a second here on TalkSport. It is 0-0. The ball has been fired into the box on the right-hand side looking for Igalo. It's defended well by Murdasaka and Koscielny and put out on this near side and away for a throw-in. Aki trying to fight with Ramsey for the ball. It's helped into opposition territory. There's a foul on Cathcart by Walcott. That gives me an opportunity to give you the 2-11s. Gomez, the goalkeeper for Watford. Alan Nyam, Sebastian Prodel, Craig Cathcart and Nathan Aki, the back four. Then it's Etienne Capoue and Ben Watson, the two holders in midfield. Ikechi Anya, Troy Deeney and Alman Abdi behind Odion Igalo. And for Arsenal, check the goalkeeper, Bellerin, Murdasaka, Koscielny and Monreal, and then it's Coquelin and Cazorla, Ramsey, Özil and Alexis behind Theo Walcott. Now, there's a mistake here by Aurelio Gomez, and Neom has just gone over and tried to slow the proceedings down, because Gomez put the ball straight out of play from a goal kick, a kick from the inside his own area, and Neom didn't want Arsenal to take a quick throw, so he grabbed the ball, ran onto the pitch with it, and he's been booked as a result by the referee Mike Jones. First booking of the game. Arsenal have the ball left side. They attack down that left-hand side, and then it's balled away by Etienne Capoue. Foul given against Arsenal.
I think if you're Arsenal, one of the things that you need to build on from the first 10-15 minutes of the first half is possession. I think that they gave possession of the football away far too cheaply, which allowed Watford to grow in confidence, have decent runs of possession of their own, particularly in the Arsenal half of the pitch, where we've already mentioned that Watford fashioned several opportunities. But if Arsenal play in the manner that they can by playing keep ball, then they'll go on and win the game.
Here's Igalo inside the area, making a nuisance of himself. Koscielny just sort of fumbling with it and trying to push the ball away. Monreal comes in to help out, picked up by Cazorla. Left side is Mesut Özil, and then it's moved up into Coquelin, who's just 10 yards short of the halfway line. Alexis Sanchez turning, ball fired into Ramsey by the Chilean. It's out to the right now, and Walcott faced up by Nathan Aki, shifts it off to the right now, and Bellerin, what can he do with the ball? Cuts it back instead and comes forward into a central area, and is pushed all the way back by the hard-working Alman Abdi on this near side, the left, and Watford regain their shape once again. That was an opportunity for Arsenal to counter-attack and have an overload on this right-hand side, but Watford very good at getting back into position.
I thought that was poor from Bellerin though, because the ball is with Theo Walcott 15 yards outside the 18-yard box, holding the ball up, and he's looking to play the ball down the right hand side of the 18-yard box. Instead, Bellerin's come really narrow towards him, so he was offering no wide attacking threat. Particularly as a fullback, get chalk on your boots. Then when you've got a central striker that holds the ball up, you can just run down the line, use the line as your waypost. Somebody filters you through. You can see the whole of the picture, and on the run you can play the ball into the box. There's this absolute obsession with Premier League footballers and Premier League systems that everything has to go narrow in towards the corners of the 18-yard box.
It's 0-0 on TalkSport. Watford against Arsenal here at Vicarage Road under the floodlights, and it's that time of the year where Stan and I have noticed a real chill in the air, and I think both of us have acknowledged that this is it. The big thick coats are out for the duration now, as the ball is slid down the right-hand side of the Arsenal attack, looking for Walcott once again. Cathcart, who played really well for Northern Ireland in the international break and scored what ended up being the vital goal that secured top spot against Finland.
Both done well, to be fair, him and Prödl. Been plenty of yap, plenty of chatter between the two of them.
That's a blatant foul by Koscielny. The ball's been pumped up by Aurelio Gomez, and the Arsenal man's just gone right through the back of Deeney and tried his best just to strong-arm him off the ball. I think he might have been getting frustrated that Deeney's been winning so many of those aerial balls and been such a physical presence up on the edge of the area that he's just gone into his back with his elbow, and that's a free kick to Watford, a good 15 yards outside the penalty area in the dead centre of the Arsenal half.
Good twat. Erring towards 30 yards. I just wonder whether somebody will take this on. Every Arsenal player back, either just outside of the D or around it, and they pull the trigger on this one. Up and over the wall, plenty of time to dip and swerve. It's great problems for Peter Cech.
Ben Watson and Alman Abdi on his 100th Watford appearance are standing over the ball. It's Alman Abdi who hits it towards the far side, the right, headed back across the goal by Prödl. It's headed out by Koscielny and then picked up on the edge of the area. It was a good idea, crossfield header from that right hand side by Prödl after the initial dink by Alman Abdi, but it was well defended by Arsenal, and it's out on the far side and away for a free kick to the Gunners. 0-0 the score. And Watford have seen a lot of the ball in the final third. They have created a number of chances. They do rely heavily on Odion Ighalo, and I mentioned that in the first 45 minutes. He's the only one who's scored a Premier League goal. If they are going to survive in the Premier League, and that is going to be their base minimum objective this season, they will have to have goals from other quarters. Here at the other end, Alexis Sanchez trying to find Özil. Just about keeps it in, does he? No, it's out of play. And away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side.
Traditionally, teams that match or surpass their aims have sometimes the majority of the team that score goals. In recent seasons, it's not gone unnoticed that some teams have had 10, 11, 12 different goal scorers. I think that for a side that's come up from the Championship, you're obviously looking at much less than that, but it's certainly disappointing with the quality that I've seen from this Watford side today, the work rate, the application, the threat they've got in advanced positions. They should be having 5 or 6 players getting on the league score sheet this season.
Well, they're just scurrying around the edge of the Arsenal penalty area again, trying to feed on scraps, but Arsenal managed to scramble it clear and up towards halfway, where Özil has found Alexis Sanchez. He's cantering forward. There's space on the right side for Ramsey. It's picked up by Cazorla. Now Ramsey's got it right side of the area, in the box now, taking on Aki. Goes back outside to Cazorla, and again the Watford shirts come buzzing back towards the edge of the box. It's now with Cazorla, who goes one way then the other, onto his left foot, tries to dink it over the top of the defence. It's headed away by Etienne Capoue, and then Coquelin receives it for Arsenal, then sends it back down the right for Bellerin. Arsenal come out of the danger zone and to go back in again with Özil, and then Alexis Sanchez, first time hit, blocked by Prödl, and then picked up in the right fullback position by Ikechi, who's looking for Odion Ighalo, and it's eventually cleared up and away for a free kick to Arsenal after a foul over on the far side. There's a rather interesting sideshow going on off the pitch, which I'll tell you about in just a second, because Ramsey's got the ball on the edge of the Watford penalty box. It's now collected by Özil. Özil to the far side, the left. Ramsey recycles the ball and crosses it into the centre, and it's picked up by Aurelio Gomez. I don't know if this is a new thing or if this is something that happens a lot here.
It's amazing.
But I don't know if you've ever been to a concert at a big venue where, you know,
Take That
or Coldplay or someone like that plays the old ballad. And used to, years ago when Stan and I were boys,
used to
get the lighters out and sing away. But now you get your mobile phone and turn your torch on, and that's what all of the Watford fans are doing here in the Vicarage Road Stadium as the ball goes into the Arsenal box on the right hand side. It's collected by Alexis Sanchez on the left as the ball went right the way through the penalty area. Alexis Sanchez again now finding Ramsey onto Cazorla, back out to the left once more. It's to Özil, round the corner, pulls it through the 6-yard box. It takes deflection off of Prödl and goes behind, and only just. Well, it was really close that to deflect it into his own net off of Sebastian Prödl, the Austrian.
Good play by Alexis Sanchez. He seems to be the only Arsenal player that's sort of stepped up into the sort of the expectation level of a player that's world class. There seems to be a real slumber around these Arsenal players in this second half of play. But a good incisive run down the left, great ball.
Corner from the left towards the penalty spot, bundled away by Watford, and Koscielny was in there trying to cause damage but couldn't do so. Deeney was sticking to his task and getting the ball clear. It comes to Özil, left side of the Watford penalty area as Arsenal try to put their foot down once again. It bounces off the right full-back Neon and out for a throw-in.
Just need to move the ball around quicker, Arsenal, to try and shift this very stubborn Watford rearguard into positions that they don't want to do, and quickly they're not doing it anywhere near enough, and as a consequence the game has plateaued a little bit. Most of it has been played in the Watford half, but if you're a Watford defensive midfielder like Capoue or Watson, or if you're two of the central defenders, Prödl and Cathcart, you're not being moved into positions, you're not breathing heavily, you're not having to make last-ditch challenges, and that will suit Quique Flores' men.
You can see why Watford don't concede many goals, can't you? Only
absolutely. I mean, they're very well organised. I mean, it's embarrassing that some sides in the Premier League that have been in the Premier League for many, many years that have such porous defences, when this side has come up with a lot of new players, good solid back four, full backs that get forward when the opportunity arises, two good hard-working defensive midfield players. It isn't rocket science football, you know.
Here's a corner for Watford at the other end, in front of the electric Hornets. That's what these little lights look like. Electric Hornets behind the goal away to our left, which are illuminating the goal which Petr Cech is standing in front of. And they have a corner here, the second of the game for the home team, Watford. It's taken by Capoue, better delivery this time. Prödl with a header, it's into the air, and Koscielny didn't have to put him off. Ikitchianya wins it back, it's out to the right side. Capoue can't bring it down. He does the second time, but I think it may have strayed out of play, and it's away for a throw-in opposite us. 56 minutes gone. It is Watford 0, Arsenal 0 on TalkSport with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League for the next 4 seasons.
Well, dare I say that we start to look at substitutes. Giroud potentially for Walcott. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain to add pace and guile and a real burst from that central midfield area. We know he can skip past people like Capoue and Watson and all of a sudden spring all sorts of opportunities.
Here come Watford again. Deeney this time over the top, hits it first time. It bounces into Mertesacker. He's got it back again, Troy Deeney. Deeney right edge of the penalty area, plays it off of the retreating Monreal, and it's another corner to the home side, and they're starting to believe that they might well even nick this, you know.
It could all be down to the tempo of the game. Arsenal just aren't going through the gears in a manner that you would expect. They've really dropped, and that's allowed Watford, like I say, to primarily defend well and now ask questions of their own going forward.
Capoue's corner, far side the right, into the penalty area it goes, up as far as the penalty spot and then over the head of Prödl. Cathcart rises, it goes over his head, and then it's picked up by Özil and taken almost clear, but it's bounced off of the defender and come back to Ighalo. Left wing position, first time ball into the box, nodded away by Mertesacker, who got there. Only Deeney was there in the centre to aim at, and the referee allows Arsenal to continue despite looking like they've taken it out of play on this near side. Bellerin square to Sanchez scampering forward, Deeney trying to get back at him. It's worked out wide left where it's picked up by Monreal. Alexis Sanchez trying to squeeze it through to Özil. It was a really good ball, and Nathan Ake had to be aware to cut it out on the edge of the penalty area, and they do manage to get it clear, Watford. Capoue now volleying the ball into the left channel. Ighalo trying to cause problems for Mertesacker, who's brought him down, and this is problem for Per Mertesacker. It's going to be a yellow card. No more than that for Per Mertesacker. It was a cynical challenge, but it is a yellow card for the Arsenal man.
He was away from very lucky there that it wasn't a ball over the top, in between the width of the 18-yard box. One ball over the top, down the outside, a really good run by Ighalo, and tripped up.
Well, you could see there, couldn't you? The limbs needing to be oiled. The issue that Mertesacker had was the fact that he couldn't get things moving quick enough to catch up with Ighalo, who's won the free kick in the left wing position. And Watford on the attack have the opportunity to swing the ball into the centre here. Alman Abdi with the free kick from the left side, right-footed towards the far post. Czech is underneath it. It's an easy catch by the Czech Republic goalkeeper. Pulls it into his chest and he'll bowl it out to the far side.
Yeah, just a little bit too close to the goalkeeper, wasn't it? It was winged in. And again, you just do wonder how many clear-cut opportunities from open play Watford are going to get, as opposed to Arsenal with the one player, the one outstanding footballer on the pitch at the moment that you feel that could make a huge difference is Alexis Sanchez.
Well, Coquelin has won a free kick, wanted to take it quickly, stole a few yards. Mike Jones didn't allow him to do so, but Arsenal progressed down the right touchline. Bellerin's miscontrolled. Ake has hacked away. It's now picked up by Coquelin, under pressure from Deeney. Deeney might well come away with this. He's still going. There's a collision between Coquelin and Deeney. That's going to be a free kick once again for Watford. And Watford are just starting to sense that the atmosphere and the intensity of their game is going to yield them something, as Capoue drives from 35 yards out from the free kick, but it was a little bit too hurried in the way that he took the shot. He had options to his right in Ikechianya and Deeney pinning away to the left. He didn't use them. Instead of continuing to press and pressurise Arsenal, he actually gave them the easy option by shooting from distance.
They need an added injection of pace. They need somebody, Arsenal, to pick the ball up on the halfway line and drive with the ball and take the game to Watford, because you just get the feeling now Watford have felt they've ridden a little bit of a storm again in the opening exchanges of the second half. They're on the front foot.
Down the right-hand side, trying to get into the penalty area for Watford. Ikechianya takes it. He's squeezed in between two defenders. One of those is Monreal, comes away with the ball. Left side of the penalty area, hacking it upfield. Prodal heads it down and Ake will send it back from whence it came. And it's in the Arsenal half now, and Monreal hasn't dealt with that very well. Deeney's nodded it down. Mertesacker comes across and this time does get there ahead of Ighalo. I think he had a little bit of extra oil in the can there, and the joints were moving a little bit freer as the ball goes onto the right-hand side towards Ikechianya. It's headed away by Mertesacker once again from the cross. Picked up by Özil this time, who's had to retreat slightly and help out his defence. Bellerin is encouraged to run and race away with the ball. He runs through the centre circle, bounces into Abdi. They've got it back again. It's another turnover, and Capoue is sprinting away into the left wing position. He's being held up by Bellerin. He's gone past Bellerin and he's gone into the left wing position. He's checked back. He's turned into the centre. And the Watford crowd now really sensing that this is their best spell of the game. 61 minutes gone. It's still 0-0. But here's Capoue, left edge of the area, strikes, hits a defender, comes back, he goes towards the box. He's nudged to the floor, wants a free kick on the edge of the area. The referee says no, and away come Arsenal with the ball.
Not for me, right on the edge of the box, but a counter-attack with Alexis Sanchez,
who's bursting away to the left edge of the area. He's got support from Özil and from Ramsey. Özil now onto Cazorla, left of the D, into Özil. Özil tries to go past Ake. There's a shot into goal by Alexis Sanchez, and he's lifted over the top of Aurelio Gomez, and it's in. Gomez is coming out and he's screaming at Mike Jones to disallow the goal, but he's not going to do that. Alexis Sanchez has come all the way from South America and he's arrived very, very late into the box here, and he's chipped it over the top of Aurelio Gomez, and it's Watford 0, Arsenal 1. There's no travel sickness this time for Alexis Sanchez.
Super finish. Mesut Ozil, when the ball comes to him on the penalty spot, you do wonder whether it's going to be one of those days where he's had a quiet game, Ozil, but scores a goal or gets a penalty. But just backing him up, taking the ball off his toes, is Alexis, by far and away Arsenal's brightest threat, and he just hits it into the roof of the net. If it was going to come, it was going to come with by Alexis. 1-0 to the visitors live on TalkSport.
Well, if he hadn't have put it in the back of the net, Nathan Aké would have given away a penalty. Olivier Giroud coming on, off going Theo Walcott, maybe against the run of play here. Arsenal have taken the lead, but that could be the hallmark of a team that challenges for the title, of course. And the goal coming after 63 minutes from Alexis Sanchez, and it is his 7th goal of the season. It is his 10th goal in 6 appearances for club and for country. Cathcart sending the ball forward towards the edge of the penalty area. It's picked up by the defender Bellerin. Cathcart under pressure from Giroud. Giroud trying to fight with Cathcart, and the ball runs clear on the far side, the right. Deeney has it now for Watford, now searching for an equaliser. And this, of course, is great news for Arsenal in their pursuit of Manchester City at the top of the table. Ramsey moving the ball down the right-hand side, because it hasn't looked likely that they were going to come here and get 3 points. You know, you wouldn't argue against Watford getting a draw from this game, such has been the application. But I was having a quick word with a colleague of mine at half-time, and he said to me, it's got 1-0 Arsenal written all over it, hasn't it?
And right on cue, the Arsenal fans away to our right. All the way back to the George Graham days, of course, where that was very much a theme. Polar opposite in terms of footballing styles between Arsenal today and Arsenal then. Saw Alan Smith, of course, a little bit earlier, title winner. Played it up to him, played the percentages.
Here on the right-hand side, the ball is with Bellerin for Arsenal, who are on the attack after taking the lead here through Alexis Sanchez. It's with Özil. Across comes Abdi. Abdi snuffs out the attack and then clears upfield, but it's given straight back to Petr Cech, and Arsenal will have possession once again. This is TalkSport.
Without a doubt, though, when you're looking at players having excuses, Sam, for being on international duty, Alexis Sanchez has had none. He has been here, there and everywhere playing for his country on a number of occasions, yet his liveliness, his brightness when he picks the ball up, he's always tried to make things happen for Arsenal today. A little bit lacklustre, one of his teammates, particularly in the final third, haven't had that sharpness that you may expect from Arsenal. But over the course of a season, you have glorious performances like against Manchester United, and you have the grinding performances like today.
Here's Bellerin trying to get the ball into the 6-yard box with a sweeping cross from the right-hand side. It's over the head of everyone who is backpedaling in yellow and collected by Alexis Sanchez far side the left. Monreal joining the attack, pokes it forward, looks for the return from Cazorla. Cazorla plays it against the arm of Watson. No free kick given in Arsenal's favour. It's now with Özil once more, and there's a collision between him and Deeney, who's still scurrying for possession, and it goes all the way back towards the far side via the halfway line. Koscielny out to the left, and now it's picked up by Sandy Cazorla. Sandy Cazorla infield towards Monreal to Özil, back to Özil once again. Giroud wants it played early, it's aimed in towards the edge of the penalty area, blocked by Prödl, and then cleared up towards halfway. And now it's Arsenal's turn to turn the screw on Watford.
And better possession, that's the key since the goal. Arsenal have been happy to pop the ball around 15-20 passes, which has moved Watford into more uncomfortable positions.
Alexis Sanchez once again. They've just got that ability to be so slick, quick, and sometimes ruthless as well, Arsenal, and they were on that occasion. If it falls to the right person, Alexis Sanchez usually, or Theo Walcott, then they can do that. Here's Ramsey inside the area. He takes a shot, takes a deflection, come back to Özil. Özil through towards Olivier Giroud, whose first touch, I think, in the game is to turn and hook it past Aurelio Gomez and beyond him and into a 2-0 lead for Arsenal. Well, they may well have brutally dismantled Manchester United 2 weeks ago, but they have just shown no mercy here against Watford. Watford this evening. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 2.
It's that little ticky-taka when it comes off, but it has to have a solid foundation of possession behind it to move a tiring Watford into positions they don't want to be in. Alexis plays it to Ramsey inside the 18-yard box, whips the ball to the far post. A little tap back at that far stick from Bellerin, and there's the tap in. Simple for Olivier Giroud, won't get an easier goal all season. And a substitution for Watford. They need fresh legs on the pitch just before it really starts to go away from them.
Yeah, and 67 minutes on the clock. A change at right full back. Steven Berghuis coming on, replacing Neon, who's run himself up and down that right touchline, and it might well add a little bit more attacking thrust for them. Might just make sure that they keep tabs on Alexis Sanchez a little bit better than they have. Here is Ighalo from Dini's flick on left edge of the area, turning and volleying and hitting it wildly, and it's scooting past the post and out for a goal kick away to our left hand side. But it's Watford 0, Arsenal 2 on TalkSport. 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes for Alexis Sanchez, and then from Olivier Giroud, who hardly had a kick before he actually hooked the ball beyond Aurelio Gomez. And it is now all 3 points that are expected to go back to the Emirates, where of course Arsenal have a huge game against Bayern Munich on Tuesday night, and then Everton next Saturday. The ball is on the left with Sanchez again, trying to weave his way inside the box from the left hand side to the right. It's picked up by Cazorla, out to Özil with a chance to cross now. There's a collection of 3 waiting for the delivery. He doesn't do that, he goes low to Cazorla instead. Bellerin tries to stay on side. It's back to Özil once more. Now it's with Cazorla, then Özil once again.
You see Arsenal's possession and quick thinking around the 18-yard box now. He's just essentially making what was a 4 and a 2, then a 3, then a 1, almost a sort of blur of yellow shirts just lacing the width of the 18-yard box. They're being passed into submission.
Well, it's just what we expected really in the second half, and we did say it right at the top of this second 45 before we were, I think, rudely interrupted by a couple of gentlemen downstairs who had had a few too many of the refreshments at half-time.
Yes.
You know, they could blow themselves out. You know, they could expend so much energy in that first half and the early part of the second that when Arsenal really want to turn on the style, they will be able to take them apart because they have that quality, and if they have the desire, they will be able to set themselves apart, and they've done that in the second half by being ruthless. 2 quick counter-attacks in the space of 5 minutes, and it's Watford 0, Arsenal 2. This is TalkSport, and ever since they've been in front, actually, Arsenal, they've had so much of the ball and they've looked like scoring more. Given away by Coquelin on halfway. Watford have got a real job on their hands to haul themselves back into this game. No side has kept more clean sheets than Arsenal's 4 so far this season. Here down the left-hand side is with Alman Abdi. Abdi trying to turn towards the penalty area. He's being marshalled by Santi Cazorla, that little squat defensive midfield player as he is at times, and often the deep-lying playmaker that dictates from that deep position. But today his job has actually been more of a defensive-minded role. Hasn't been able to get on the ball as much as the ball is swept into the box by Watford. Etienne Capoue lifting it towards goal, and Cech picks it up. Let me give you the latest odds from Betfair, Matchday Live's official betting partner on TalkSport. With Betfair you can cash out on single or accumulator bets to take your winnings before the end of the match. A £25 pre-match bet on Arsenal means you can cash out now for 40 quid. The latest odds 100 to 1 for Watford to win the game. It's 500 to 1 on for Arsenal to do so. The draw is 33 to 1, and if you want to try cash out, you can go to betfair.com or download the app and try it today. This is TalkSport. Watford have the ball with Dini just outside the centre circle. It's played up towards Berghuis. Berghuis tries to knock it out towards the right hand side. He then swipes at the legs of Coquelin, and then Coquelin manages to release Alexis Sanchez. Sanchez moving into the area, tries to play a 1-2 with the Chilean. He didn't go for the return. It's picked up by Aurelio Gomez. Ikechianyo has gone back into right full-back position after the substitution of Alan Neon, and Berghuis has gone up alongside or just behind Ilian Ighalo, and that means that over on that far right-hand side, Dini has peeled out into an almost sort of right wing position, but him and Berghuis have interchanged a couple of times. We'll keep an eye on that for you.
I've got to be honest, at the moment, I think that Arsenal are so dominant, their shape is good. Mesut Ozil has grown into the game as it's gone on. I thought he was disappointed in the first half, if I'm being perfectly honest. Didn't see much of the football. Been much more of a threat in this second half. But Arsenal have done what we know that they can do, and that is keep very good possession of the football, but always asking questions. And at their very best, there isn't another side in the Premier League that does that. Around the final third of the pitch, keeping it, third pass goes into somebody. Keeping it, second pass goes into somebody. And you have to have eyes in the back of your head, and when they do it, and do it well, you know, it's a perfect storm, arguably, today. Olivier Giroud, that probably needs a little bit of a cuddle, feeling a little bit out of sorts, gets his goal, which is important, potentially a clean sheet. So, and 2 goals to the good.
Here's Bellerin right side, moving towards the edge of the Watford penalty area. He skipped past Daki into the box here. He's got some support. It's arriving from Aaron Ramsey, who lifts it past Aurelio Gomez and chips it into the net. A little dink over the goalkeeper after being played in by Hector Bellerin. Again, it's come down that right-hand side for Arsenal, and Watford have wilted. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 3.
It's quite incredible to see that a very even football contest 10 minutes into the second half has just been a grind, just grinding Watford into the ground, into submission, passing, movement, incision, and great finishing. 3-0 to Arsenal, live on TalkSport.
Substitution. Off comes Arman Abdi, and on comes Ibabo. Victor Ibabo, the left winger, who's on a season-long loan from Cagliari, will come on to replace Arman Abdi. But the task now is a forlorn one for Quique Sanchez Flores and his troops. It's 3-0 to Arsenal.
And a very harsh lesson.
Kill the game.
Always, it doesn't matter who it is. And I think that Leicester have been a little bit lucky recently, because I think that, you know, if the boot's on the other foot, they need to try and get themselves 2-0 to the good rather than going 2-0 down in games. They've got it into their head that they can come back, but get yourself in front and nick the points early on. Is that if you don't take your opportunities in this most difficult of leagues, eventually good sides are going to find you out.
Yeah.
Same with Bournemouth.
And they've been found out this afternoon, haven't they, Watford? It's 3-0. And here is Ikechi Anya down that right side, 2 yards in from the touchline. This will be the heaviest defeat of the season. It's picked up by Berghaus, who shifts it into the box looking for Prodo. It's away by Mertesacker, and then picked up by Ramsey. There's still some things to worry about for Arsenal, by the way. Don't be fooled into thinking that this was a comprehensive victory by the Gunners. There'll be issues for Arsene Wenger to solve before we get to Tuesday night's game against Bayern Munich. And we'll keep you across that. The Moose and Perry Groves will be at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday night for Champions League action. I'll be watching Dinamo Kiev against Chelsea live on TalkSport, 7:45 kickoff. And I'll be in the company of Alvin Martin, bringing you that full commentary on match day 3 of the Champions League. And then on Wednesday night, more action for you from the Champions League as we bring you CSKA Moscow against Manchester United, Jim Proudfoot and Danny Higginbottom. And then Anderlecht and Spurs on Thursday with Jim and Ray Houghton. That's a 6 o'clock kickoff. That's into match day drive. This is TalkSport, and we're live here at Vicarage Road, where Arsenal have rode a couple of storms. Actually, they rode one in the first half, they rode one at the start of the second as well. On the breakaway, they've scored a goal from Alexis Sanchez, would put them in front. They've dominated the ball since then. They've now added to their lead. It's 3-0. Here's Deeney at the other end for Watford, trying to claw them back into the game, but with only 13 and a bit minutes left, it seems unlikely. Berghaus fighting on the left side with Monreal, the left fullback for Arsenal, who's trying to bring the ball clear. He finds first Cazorla and then Coquelin, and it's with Hector Bellerin, who was the invention behind that goal. His raw pace, speed and awareness created that goal for Aaron Ramsey. And Ramsey hasn't scored too many goals in the last few weeks. He's got one for Wales, but it's the first goal I think he scored this season for Arsenal. And would you believe this, 15 now of his last 17 goals have come away from home. And was that season a couple of years ago when he was scoring for fun? He was scoring almost week in, week out, wasn't he? But it hasn't hit those heights in the last year or so. This is Coquelin. trying to win the ball in midfield from Capoue, who's been all action in the centre of midfield, but he's just lost his way in the last few minutes and given away a free kick right at the centre circle.
Well, just see the game out if you're Arsenal. Pass, move, take up a different position if you're Watford. Back to the drawing board. The players, I'm sure, watch a DVD of the game, and crucially that 10 minutes where the manager will impress on them. This is when you had them on the ropes. Crosses coming in, little passes between Deeney, Igalo, Anya, all involved in really good movement. But it wasn't to be. We've got Stoke away coming up next, West Ham United home and Leicester away, so 3 tough games, but games they'll feel, Watford, that they're more than able of competing in.
Arsenal once again on the move forward, on the charge towards the Watford penalty area, with Bellerin and Ramsey right side. A push away by Capoue, picked up by Ramsey. Ramsey trying to get round the back of Ibabo. Ibabo into Aki, who turns and clears, chested down by Deeney, holds onto it well. Across comes Cazorla, breaks up the play and wins it back for Arsenal, who now they're 3-0 up, starting to look a little bit serene. And they are the best team in the Premier League in this current calendar year. No one else has got as many points as Arsenal, 61 from 27 games before today. That's 4 more than Manchester City and 12 more than Chelsea, 11 more than Manchester United. Can they turn that into a full season? That's the key thing for Arsenal, isn't it? Because they want to lift that trophy. Here is Alexis Sanchez trying to go beyond the goalkeeper. He's brought down by the goalkeeper. There's a little collision and the ball runs behind and goes out for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. He was certainly squeezed in between Gomez and the retreating defender Ikechiyanya there, Alexis Sanchez, but such is his bullish nature. As he rolled onto the floor, he got straight back up like he was a jack-in-the-box, chased the ball down, and it rolled behind and away for a goal kick. Here comes Oxlade-Chamberlain and Mikel Arteta, just to give a couple of limbs a rest ahead of what is a huge game for Arsenal in midweek against Bayern Munich, which we'll keep you up to date with on TalkSport. I think that's enough for Alexis Sanchez, who started the goal scoring and has had a round-the-world trip to contend with this week. Only came back on Friday from the game that he played on Wednesday night. He scored a fantastic 3 goals in 2 games for Chile, and he now has 10 goals in his last 6 appearances for club and country after getting things off and underway here. He's replaced by Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Mesut Özil is also being replaced, and he is coming off for Mikel Arteta for the final 11 minutes of the game. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 3, and you're listening to TalkSport with Sam Adderface and Stan Collingwood.
Well, I think Alexis Sanchez has been sensational today at a crucial time in the game where Arsenal looked a little bit devoid of ideas. Those questions that we asked, leadership, leading from the front, leading by example. Was the game going to peter out? Was it going to be a draw? And all of the good work against Manchester United, not completely undone, but the momentum not kicked on. Sanchez kept on going, he kept running with the ball, he kept getting into positions. A true world-class footballer in the Premier League.
Well, Watford will have to have a look at themselves and try and work out exactly how they are going to apply themselves over the next few weeks, but they're not going to worry too much about losing to Manchester City and to Arsenal. They will concentrate on games away at Stoke, who have alarmingly slipped down the table. I think they're just a couple of points above the bottom 3 now. West Ham United at home in a couple of weeks' time, Leicester away, and Manchester United at home with their next few fixtures. But there's a couple of fixtures there they would expect to get something from. Here's Berghuis on the right-hand side. There has been another change, and it's Paredes who has come on into almost an orthodox right full-back position. Ikechiyanya has been replaced. So that's the final change for Quique Sanchez-Flores. Ibabo picking it up for Watford, left side of the centre circle. It's a poor ball which is cut out by Monreal. Ramsey wants it, gets it, lifts it over the top for Olivier Giroud, who, by the way, I don't think has touched the ball since he scored the goal. Here is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain into Ramsey. Ramsey skipping away from the retreating Berghuis. Watford will need to show a little bit more of a clinical edge if they're going to survive in this league, I'm afraid. And they can't rely on one goal scorer. 9 games, 1 goal scorer. That's probably going to be an undoing unless it can be changed very quickly. Here's Bellerin again, down the right-hand side, beats Aki, tries to get the ball into the box, but Aki comes back at him really well and knocks it behind and away for a corner to Arsenal on this near side, the right.
I think that Arsenal can afford, just looking at the two central defenders, Mertesacker and Koscielny going up, I think they can afford to stay back and just play a little corner and just finish it off in style by keeping possession of the football and not bothering. Watford have got everybody back, bar Gallo, in their own 18-yard box. Keep things nice and simple.
Corner to be taken by Cazorla on this near side, the right. It's aimed towards the near post. Giroud is arriving, and it's pushed away by Aurelio Gomez, and he denies him a second after coming on as a substitute. Well, he lost his marker, if there was one in the first place, very easily there, Olivier Giroud. A right-footed corner from Santi Cazorla, and it was headed firmly towards the goalkeeper, and it was only his palms, which I'm sure are stinging, that prevented it from being 4-0 to Arsenal. Here's Ramsey from the second corner, blocked by Ben Watson this time. It's hacked away up towards Igalo. The ball doesn't stick. Coquelin has got it back again, and Arsenal thrust it forward immediately on the right side with Santi Cazorla, who picks it out of the sky. Ramsey's in space, right edge of the area here. They're looking for a fourth Arsenal. They're showing no mercy. It's back with Ramsey once again. Arteta. Coquelin into Ramsey, in between the fullback and the winger, in the right wing position, trying to attack the goal away to our right. He spirals away from Aki and gives it to Coquelin, who runs his studs over the ball and bursts into the box. Aki comes across and has to put it out for another corner.
Well, at the moment it's just one-way traffic. Like I say, a nice shape, a 4-2-3-1 has been driven into a Watford 8 sat in front of the goalkeeper in the 18-yard box, and I just wonder if Arsenal had done that a little bit earlier. They started the game very well, but seemed to go away from them after 10-15 minutes, and I just think for a little bit more care of the football they could have had an easier day of it today.
Arsenal up into second with this victory, 2 points behind Manchester City. It's Cazorla towards the penalty spot, glanced away by Etienne Capoue, picked up on the edge of the D and then recycled by Monreal, a little bit agriculturally, but Cazorla gets him out of jail by bringing it down so beautifully from the sky and then giving it away again. Here's Ibarbo up to Dini down the left-hand side, trying to run into Hector Bellerin, who just pushes him out of play, and it goes out on this near side and away through a throw. So Watford now will be in 14th position, below Swansea City, who have got a game in hand, of course. 10 points from their 9 games. Norwich still to play, Stoke still to play this weekend, and Newcastle as well. So they'll be heading towards the bottom reaches of the table, Watford. They will have to be careful, because you know what it's like, you get a half decent start, everyone thinks everything's okay, then all of a sudden the fixtures come thick and fast, and by the time you get to Christmas you're edging towards that trapdoor and you can't arrest the slide. Watford 0, Arsenal 3.
Plenty for Quique Sanchez-Flores to take forward though with this Watford squad, without a doubt. Can't see them being threatened with relegation unless they were to lose a couple of their front players, which of course can happen. You'll have to look at Bournemouth, but I think that the organisation that they've got and the spirit that they've got and the quality that they've got sees them as a decent Premier League side already.
Here's Ibarbo down the left-hand side trying to get a crossing, can't do so. It's hoisted through the centre, it's headed down and away by Monreal, comes through to Arteta, who's accused of handball. The referee says no, and it's cleared away, and Ramsey picks it up towards halfway. Ramsey charging forward now, bursting into opposition territory. It's still with Aaron Ramsey, the Welshman, clipping the ball from left side to right, and now brought down by Cazorla, the Spaniard, into Oxlade-Chamberlain, who's in the penalty area, down by the byline. Can he pull it across the face of goal? Cathcart there and just nudges it away and out for another corner. I disagree with you, Stan. I think they will find themselves in a relegation battle unless they find goals from somewhere else apart from Igalo, and find them quickly, because they today have shown that they have the ability to create the odd chance here and there, but they are the lowest goal scorers in the league across the whole of the 92 clubs, and that would trouble me. I
think that what they need is that, so often having played in a team that's got promoted into the Premier League, a big result against a big side.
Yeah, absolutely.
To give you that kind of confidence. And if they score today when they're on top, they could have had 2, because they had 2 or 3 chances in quick succession. If they take that scalp today, then all of a sudden everybody wants to be a part of that. To completely take on board what you say about having one goal scorer is not good enough in the Premier League. You lose him and you're struggling automatically. But I do see other sides in the Premier League that don't defend anywhere near as well as this unit does today. 3-0 is flattering, but it was Arsenal at their very best, where they ground it out, and then the quality turned on at the end.
Corner kick to Arsenal, away to our right-hand side, in front of the Arsenal fans. Calling for Santi Cazorla to give them a wave down in that near corner, and he hasn't done so yet. Whether or not he's got the ability to understand what that means.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lack of English.
Right-footed cross from the near side towards the far post. It's headed away by Prodel, and then further cleared by Ben Watson on the edge of his own 6-yard area. It's Watford 0, Arsenal 3 on TalkSport, with Sky Sports, the home of the Barclays Premier League for the next 4 seasons. And remember, no game for us tomorrow, but we have games Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday nights, next Saturday, and then 2 on Sunday for you. Live commentary of both the big derbies next Sunday. It's Newcastle and Sunderland, followed by Manchester United and Manchester City. That one at the Stadium of Light. Then we're off to Old Trafford. Stan and I will be there, very much looking forward to those 2 big, huge commentaries on the biggest sports radio station in the world, TalkSport. Here is Nathan Ake launching the ball into the box. It's cleared away by Arteta. Arteta plays the ball through the midfield into Oxlade-Chamberlain. It's a little bit dicey. They've given it away here, Arsenal. They've won it back again. They had to, because they cultivated their own problems there. And eventually Watford have a throw, which they take through Ake down the left-hand side. Ibarbo trying to bludgeon his way into the box, really. I mean, it was really physical stuff from Victor Ibarbo, but Santi Cazorla has decided just to take the roundhouse around him and bring the ball out of defence with excellent control. Poor clearance by Coquelin, straight to Ake. Bit scrappy in the final stages here. 89 minutes gone, but here's Deeney, picked it up, edge of the area, into Igalo, back to Deeney, right-footed shot into the ground. And from 18 yards out, he just thought he might have a chance there, Troy Deeney. He snatched at the shot, hit it into the floor, and it bobbled up safely into the arms of Petr Cech.
Yeah, good play by Deeney. He's on the left-hand side of the 18-yard box, plays it into the front man, chests it down, and then, unfortunately, just can't get the purchase on the strike. And obviously looking, when it holds up around sort of knee height, hit it with the top of the foot, get your knee, get your thigh behind it, but he hits it too early into the ground. Just bobbles up nicely to Petr Cech.
Well, things look a little bit rosier now for Arsene Wenger and Arsenal. 3 defeats in 5 matches in September. Up the heat on him now for Bayern Munich in midweek. In the last month, we've had Champions League troubles, we've had awkward press conferences, a tetchy shareholders AGM, but still, we have to be reminded that Arsenal have a chance. 2 points off a top spot in the Barclays Premier League. Can it be that this season is the season that they sustain it and mount a challenge to win the top honour? They lead here by 3-0, and we've got just seconds remaining at the end of the game against Watford. Oxlade-Chamberlain out on the far side. 3 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. The ball out on halfway. The Watford fans just starting to disappear down the gangways here. They've seen enough. I think they will be buoyed, especially by the first half performance by their team, but they will know. They will be canny enough to realise that this team need a goal scorer. They need someone to take those chances that they get very rarely against the big teams if they're going to stay in this division. Here's Bellerin right side, leaving it for Ramsey. Ramsey approaching the penalty area, 10 yards outside, 5 yards outside, 4 yards outside. He leaves it to Bellerin. Bellerin now in the wing position, back to Ramsey again. Now Bellerin, blocked by Ibarbo. All the way back it goes to Mertesacker, and Arsenal decide that safety is better before Coquelin threads the ball forward for Giroud, who's offside. And it's a free kick on the edge of the area for Watford. I don't think Olivier Giroud has had 3 touches since the goal, and that was his first. I mean, seriously, he's hardly been involved in the game, but he has popped up with 1 goal, and could have had a second from the header from the right wing cross from Cazorla, which was punched away by Aurelio Gomez.
Well, the problem is as well that, of course, he won't have had much game time in recent weeks. He's a big old unit, so he probably takes a little bit longer than your more diminutive player to get into the game. I think the most important thing is for him to feel part of the team and the squad, because if you isolate anybody and make them feel not wanted, then there'll be a time guaranteed when Arsenal need him, whether it be through injury, through suspensions, through lack of form.
Oxlade-Chamberlain setting up Giroud, and he hoists that one high over the top of the crossbar and away for a goal kick. I don't think Arsenal do that. I don't think they isolate anyone. It's very much a together unit. They're all, one of the criticisms of Arsenal is they're all very nice.
I know, but I think the thought that if you're Olivier Giroud as a central striker, if I'm in his position in the dressing room and I'm seeing a converted striker playing in front of me and doing quite well and getting all of the plaudits, then you do get the ump a little bit, and you do start to sort of walk around and moan a little bit around the dressing room. So to get himself back on the score sheet today was important for many, many reasons. Can I just call Colin Moore? 08717 22 How did your team play today? So many games in the Premier League, in the Championship, Leagues 1 and Leagues 2. Give us a call now on 08717 22 and we'll call you back during the show. How did your team play today?
Wayne Rooney on the score sheet for Manchester United away at Everton, Manchester City blitzing Bournemouth. There was a win for Chelsea at last at home against Aston Villa by 2-0. And I think Aston Villa were disappointed, when they came off the pitch again that game. We can talk about it all with Stan. 08717 22 3 4. Always a good listen as you drive home from games up and down the country. If you've got big, long journeys back, or you've already arrived, we want to hear from you on TalkSport. Season ticket straight after that with Danny. And then we're back in midweek for live commentary on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. The Watford fans playing their part today, and they certainly are still enjoying this occasion away to our left-hand side. Listen, they won't forget where they've come from in the recent few years. The Pozzo family have invested, I was told earlier, as much on the pitch as they have off it, and they certainly are grateful for that. They're waving their flags away to our left-hand side as they toss the ball into the box, and it comes off of the head of an Arsenal jersey, and that is the full-time whistle. Arsenal back up to second behind Manchester City. This is what they expected to do coming here, but nonetheless it is a job done for Arsene Wenger and his team. They have beaten Watford by 3-0, despite the point that in the first half it was very, very difficult for Arsenal to stay level with the team from Vicarage Road. It's finished here at Vicarage Road. Watford 0, Arsenal 3. Let's get a view from Stan on the encounter at Vicarage Road. Stan Collymore alongside me watching the game. And Arsenal had to win here today, didn't they, with Bayern Munich coming in midweek, but they took their time over it.
Yeah, they did. I think that started the game very well for 10 minutes. And then for me it was about Watford taking advantage of Arsenal's poor possession. Second half started very flat, and you thought this is going to ebb away. It could well easily ebb away to a 0-0. But then for me, one player stood above all others on the pitch and made a huge difference to his team. He drove them over the line, he took the game to the opposition, and that was the world-class player on the pitch. You could argue that Mesut Ozil is, but Alexis Sanchez did it when it mattered in the game. So for me, he would be my man of the match and was the conduit to Arsenal going on and winning the football match today.
Watford keep their heads held high, but it's Arsenal who walk away to the right to take the plaudits. They take all 3 points back to the Emirates. It's finished Watford 0, Arsenal 3.